The Space Marines stand as the Imperium of Man's transhuman warriors, shaped to be stronger and more resilient than ordinary humans, their bodies remade for endless war. They exist in many chapters, each one a self-contained force, ready to answer threats the moment they arise. Within these brotherhoods, pride runs deep, bound to colors and heraldry set down at their founding and carried across armor and war machines alike. Their war gear is never treated as mere equipment. Every plate and weapon is cared for with devotion, often etched with high Gothic script that quietly recalls victories and hard-won honors. A Space Marine towers over other warriors, his immense strength guided by disciplined skill, his bolter roaring with shells that detonate within the enemy. Encased in power armor, he endures hostile worlds and withering fire, surviving where others would fall. Such warriors are not born by chance. They are forged through relentless training and genetic manipulation, drawn from the most dangerous warrior peoples of the galaxy and transformed into weapons of unmatched lethality in service to mankind. The roots of the Space Marines reach back to the unification wars on Terra in the closing years of the 30th millennium, when the Emperor of Mankind revealed himself and led his forces across Old Earth. At his side marched the Thunder Warriors, genetically engineered soldiers created to crush the techno-barbarian tribes and fractured nations that ruled the planet. Even before Terra was reclaimed, the Emperor relied on enhanced warriors, drawing upon traditions of bioalchemy and augmentation that had flourished during the Age of Strife. Yet the Thunder Warriors surpassed all others, bearing immense physical power, resistance to hostile environments and psychic assault, and a relentless spirit shaped by the Emperor's own strategic will. Against them, the tyrants of Old Earth found no answer. Their victories marked the birth of the Imperium of Man and the beginning of a greater ambition to save humanity from extinction. Still, these warriors were flawed, some broke in mind, others in body, their own strength turning against them after years of battle. Even as they fought, the Emperor prepared something more enduring, gathering gene rights and savants in secret laboratories beneath the Himalayan mountains. There, across long decades of hidden labor, new wonders of gene craft took shape. From the lessons of the Thunder Warriors and the Emperor's unmatched genius emerged the Primarchs, and foremost among the results of this work, the Space Marine Legions themselves. The first Space Marines were chosen from among the Emperor's own bodyguard, men who offered themselves willingly to transformation. Through surgery, genetic change, and relentless conditioning, they became warriors of iron discipline, no longer broken by the strain of constant war. Their loyalty never wavered, and their numbers soon grew as the process was refined. These early Astartes formed distinct regiments, each shaped by a unique gene seed drawn from a Primarch. Though this truth remained hidden at the time, subtle differences appeared among them in temperament and instinct, even as they expanded into legions and replaced the Thunder Warriors during the final days of the Unification Wars. Victory followed swiftly, and Terra was brought to heel under one rule. The armor they wore was not new, but thunder armor, drawn from the forges of old earth and reclaimed from fallen foes. Cast in storm cloud gray and marked only with symbols of imperial unity, it reflected a deliberate break from the past. Over time, names replaced numbers, honors accumulated, and each legion's character deepened. As the legions spread across the galaxy, their colors shifted and their identities hardened. By the time of the triumph of Olenor, the Grey Legions had faded into history, transformed into forces far more varied and distinct than those first silent warriors of Terra. More than 10,000 years ago, when the Emperor still walked among mortals, he created the Primarchs, 20 immortal beings of immense intellect and strength. They were meant to be his closest allies and commanders in the Great Crusade, the vast endeavor to reunite humanity after the age of strife. Their creation was cut short by catastrophe, as the Primarchs were scattered through the warp to distant worlds by the will of the dark gods of chaos. Even so, their genetic legacy endured. The first Space Marines were shaped from diluted fragments of Primarch gene seed, for no human body could hold such power in full. As the Great Crusade advanced, each Primarch was rediscovered and took command of the legion born from his genetic line. Many legions adopted the Primarch's homeworld as their own, drawing recruits from its people and shaping their culture in the process. Some changes were subtle, others profound, altering traditions, beliefs, and ways of war. In some legions, divisions arose between Terran veterans and those raised on distant worlds, rifts that would later deepen into tragedy. The Primarchs' names still echo across the Imperium, revered or cursed, for some remained loyal while others followed Horus into rebellion against the Emperor. As the Great Crusade pushed ever outward, new pressures emerged within the Imperium. Gene seed stocks grew unstable through constant use, while the need for Space Marines increased beyond previous limits. Attrition mounted, and the Emperor could not slow the pace of conquest. Under his direct oversight, Gene Wrights proposed a solution later called Gropius's theorem, showing that Primarch genetic codes could stabilize and expand Astartes' gene seed with minimal deviation. New techniques, including knowledge taken from the Selenar gene cults of Luna, shortened the time needed to create a battle-ready Space Marine to a single Terran year in some cases. These measures met the immediate need, but they carried hidden flaws. In later centuries, many came to believe that this haste damaged the minds and spirits of certain legions, sowing weaknesses that chaos would one day exploit. At the height of the Great Crusade, War Master Horus turned against the Emperor, leading his traitor legions in a war that burned countless worlds. For 7 dark years, terror swept the galaxy until the loyal legions made their final stand upon the walls of the Imperial Palace. In desperation, the Emperor, Sanguinius, and Rogaldorn carried the fight to Horus aboard the Vengeful Spirit. Scattered by dark sorcery, they fought alone through the corrupted ship. Sanguinius fell, refusing chaos, and though Horus struck the Emperor a mortal blow, he was destroyed utterly by the Emperor's final strength. The Emperor was borne back to Terra stand within the Golden Throne, sustained by unending sacrifice. Though the traitors were driven into the eye of terror after long years of scouring war, the cost was immeasurable. Billions lay dead, worlds ruined, and the Emperor's dream shattered. From this ruin came reform. Robot Gilliman decreed the division of the legions into chapters, an event remembered as the Second Founding, shaping the Imperium's future and leaving more than 1,000 chapters scattered across the stars. After the Horus Heresy, the Imperium was reshaped during the Reformation. Under Gilliman's guidance, the structures of governance and war were codified, and his greatest legacy took form in the Codex Astartes. This vast tome laid down the organization, tactics, and discipline of the Space Marines, decreeing the division of legions into chapters and the careful, measured creation of new warriors. It addressed everything from battlefield roles to markings and command, but its most enduring decree limited the size of chapters, ensuring no single leader could wield legion-scale power again. The Codex also sought to safeguard genetic purity. Gene seed would be monitored, tested, and stored under the control of the Adeptus Terra, with strict separation of genetic lines. Over time, the Codex evolved, shaped by generations of experience, yet it remains the authoritative guide to war for the Adeptus Astartes. Some chapters follow it without deviation, others adapt its teachings, and a few reject it entirely. Still, its influence endures, revered as both scripture and measure of duty. 7 Terran years after Horus's death, the Second Founding reshaped the Space Marines. The vast legions were broken into chapters of roughly 1,000 warriors, each autonomous and distinct. One chapter in each lineage retained the original name and colors, while others took on new identities. The Ultramarines, being the largest legion, were divided many times, giving rise to numerous primogenitor chapters. Their gene seed became the favorite stock for later foundings, and many chapters trace their origins back to this line, honoring Robot Gilliman as their patron. The Codex Astartes guided these new formations, and those that followed it closely became known as Codex chapters. Records from this era are incomplete, and many chapters have since been lost, but the Second Founding remains a defining moment in the Imperium's history. Across the Imperium's long history, rebellion and upheaval have erased much of the past. Many chapters were founded in such troubled times, their origins obscured beyond recovery. What is known is that roughly 1,000 chapters exist, scattered thinly across a vast galaxy. The largest group descends from the Ultramarines and their primogenitors, adhering closely to the Codex Astartes while maintaining their own heraldry and traditions. Others follow different Primarchs, yet still strive to uphold Gilliman's teachings, balancing inherited traits with Codex doctrine. A final group stands apart, shaped by unique gene seed quirks or uncompromising traditions. Chapters such as the Black Templars and Space Wolves reject the Codex in favor of their own ways of war, fiercely independent, yet still defenders of humanity against overwhelming darkness. The Space Marines were first formed as vast legions created by the Emperor during the first founding, each one made up of many thousands of warriors whose gene seed was drawn from a single Primarch. In time, as the Great Crusade unfolded and most of those Primarchs were rediscovered, each returned to command the legion shaped from his own genetic legacy, binding leader and warriors together in purpose and origin. Yet not all of those early legions remain remembered. 2 of them, the 2nd and the 11th, vanished from Imperial history, their names and deeds deliberately erased before the Horus Heresy began. They are spoken of only as the Forgotten and the Purged, recorded in the most minimal way as having been deleted from Imperial records. This act of removal, known formally as an Edict of Obliteration or Damnatio Memori, was the deliberate destruction of all records, symbols, and monuments tied to those declared traitors by the Emperor himself. In an empire that valued loyalty as the path to honor and salvation, such complete erasure stands as one of the harshest punishments imaginable, and historians consider it the most thorough example ever carried out. As the age darkened and the Horus Heresy erupted, fully half of the legions turned against the Imperium, pledging themselves to the powers of chaos and becoming the traitor legions. When the war finally ended, the surviving loyalist legions were judged too powerful to remain whole, too dangerous to be placed under the will of a single commander. From that decision came the second founding, when the legions were broken apart into smaller chapters, each limited in size, a structure that endures into the present age. In the many foundings that followed, new chapters were created again and again, their gene seed carefully taken from those that already existed. Even so, many of these successor chapters still carry echoes of their origins, preserving the memory of their progenitors in their rites, their symbols, and the way they wage war, their shared genetic and cultural traits lingering quietly across the centuries. Each chapter and each legion that came before it is a subject far too complex to be fully understood when spoken of together. Their histories, traditions, victories, and failures unfold across centuries, shaped by countless battles and choices. To truly appreciate them, they must be approached one by one, with patience and care. For that reason, each of these forces will be explored separately in dedicated materials on this channel, where their stories can be recalled slowly and in full. The Primaris Space Marines are a new kind of warrior, shaped slowly across 10,000 years of hidden labor on Mars. Archmagos Dominus Belisarius Call worked in silence, guided by a command given long ago by Roboot Gilliman, before the Primarch was struck down in the bitter days after the Horus Heresy. Using the Emperor's original designs for the first Space Marines as his foundation, Cole refined and expanded them, creating warriors who are larger, stronger, and quicker to act than those who came before. Gilliman had learned from catastrophe. He understood that chaos would never truly be defeated, only resisted, and that the Imperium would one day face trials even darker than those already endured. He planned for that distant hour, knowing that new defenders would be needed when the galaxy once again burned. When the Imperium stood on the edge of collapse, divided by the Great Rift and threatened by the wars unleashed in the wake of Abaddon's 13th Black Crusade, that long preparation finally came to fruition. These Primaris warriors were not only altered in flesh, but equipped anew. Their armor and weapons were forged on Mars, blending ancient designs from the age of the Great Crusade with more recent advances. Mark X power armor, refined bolt rifles, newly perfected plasma weapons, and towering war engines accompanied them into battle, each tool shaped to support a new generation of the Emperor's Angels of Death. At the dawn of the Indomitus Crusade, Guilliman gathered these warriors into a vast armada, fighting alongside the Adeptus Custodes and the Silent Sisterhood as he moved to reclaim the scattered bastions of humanity. Some Primaris were formed into entirely new chapters, while others were sent to reinforce existing brotherhoods. Many Firstborn welcomed them as long-awaited salvation, though some viewed them with distrust, uneasy with the thought that mortal hands had altered the Emperor's work. Chapters shattered by constant war were strengthened first, beginning with the Ultramarines and spreading outward across the Imperium. From this effort arose the Ultima founding, new chapters composed solely of Primaris Space Marines, each tracing its lineage back to the gene seed of the first founding legions. They were stronger and more resilient, bearing additional organs and enhanced physiques, yet questions lingered about how these changes might interact with the ancient flaws carried by some bloodlines. Many of these chapters were placed along the edges of the Great Rift, where demon worlds, raiders, and invaders pressed constantly against humanity's last defenses. There, the Primaris Space Marines became both shield and symbol, offering hope to an Imperium under siege, even as the future remained uncertain and shadowed by war. The Ultima founding marked the greatest awakening of Space Marines in centuries, as thousands of Primaris warriors were released from stasis beneath the red sands of Mars. They emerged at a moment when survival itself was in doubt, when the birth of the Great Rift had torn the Imperium apart. Yet this was only the beginning of how the Primaris would come to fight for mankind. The first of them marched directly from Belisarius Call's laboratories, unleashed after Guilliman's return during the Terran Crusade. These warriors had slept for over 10,000 years, each shaped for a specific role, trained in isolation to master a single form of warfare. They entered battle with the skill of veterans and a natural affinity for the machine spirits of their war gear, gifts of their long association with Mars. Despite this strength, they lacked the broader experience earned through years within a chapter's ranks. Some of these early warriors became the foundation of new chapters, while others joined the Indomitus Crusade as Grey Shields, fighting side by side until they reached the chapters whose colors and gene lines they shared. Integration was not always easy, yet each arrival brought renewed strength to forces struggling against the horrors spilling from the Great Rift. As the war ground on, it became clear that a single wave of reinforcements would never be enough. Alongside the Crusade fleets came Adeptus Mechanicus Canator acolytes, embedding themselves within chapter apothecarians. Through their arcane devices, existing chapters gained the ability to create and train new Primaris warriors from their own recruits, ensuring a lasting source of strength. Some chapters resisted this intrusion, wary of the Mechanicus and protective of their secrets. Yet even they could not deny the value of a system that allowed the Primaris legacy to grow. Over time, aspirants were implanted with the new organs, some entirely remade as Primaris, others remaining Firstborn, each path shaping the future of their chapter. These later Primaris benefited not only from enhanced bodies, but from full immersion in their chapter's traditions, learning flexibility, culture, and faith through long progression. As their numbers grew, a question began to echo through the fortress monasteries of the Imperium. Could a firstborn space marine cross the Rubicon Primaris and survive the agonizing transformation? Accounts differ on who first attempted this perilous ascent, and many names are spoken in quiet remembrance of those who failed. Still, more warriors chose to risk everything, not for glory, but because no true son of the Primarchs would refuse greater strength with which to defend the Imperium. With each passing day, more crossed that threshold, and the legacy of the Primaris became woven ever deeper into the long, unending war. New Space Marine chapters do not come into being a piece at a time, shaped by immediate need, but emerge instead through deliberate groupings known as foundings, planned far in advance and revealed only after long, quiet preparation. The approval of such a founding rests with the imperial government, and the path to that decision is obscure and ancient, often stretching across decades or even centuries before any public announcement is made. Only an edict from the High Lords of Terra can begin the creation of new chapters, as the effort demands the coordination of countless arms of the Imperium, vast and inflexible in their scope. No single authority could hope to gather such resources alone, and the founding of an individual chapter outside this system is all but impossible. Within this process, the Adeptus Mechanicus holds a vital place. Its highest ranks are responsible for the creation, testing, and refinement of the gene seed that will form the genetic foundation of each new chapter. Entire forge worlds may be devoted to producing the weapons, armor, vehicles, and starships required, their forges burning for years to equip warriors not yet fully formed. Other matters unfold alongside this labor. A suitable human-inhabited world must be chosen, one that can serve both as a defensible base and as a source of future recruits. Such worlds are often identified long before, reported by wandering rogue traders and marked by Mechanicus explorators as potential homes. Sometimes the land itself must be reshaped, and the people studied across generations by magos biologus and genitors, ensuring purity and freedom from mutation that might one day corrupt the chapter. The building of a fortress monastery stands among the greatest of these undertakings, guided by the Imperium's most accomplished military architects. If a chapter is destined to roam the void, even greater effort is required, with immense chapter barks or unusually large battle barges constructed to serve as mobile strongholds, supported by their attendant warships and escorts. Existing Space Marine chapters may also take part, though their involvement varies. Many of the first founding chapters maintain close ties with those created from their own gene seed, and some chapter masters are said to guide future foundings using that lineage. One such case speaks of the disciples of Caliban, a successor of the Dark Angels, formed after a direct appeal from the Supreme Grand Master, a request rarely made. Across more than 10,000 standard years since the Emperor first created the 20 original Space Marine legions, there have been 26 further foundings of the Adeptus Astartes. The most recent of these, the Ultima founding of the Primaris Space Marines, took place soon after the birth of the Great Rift. Long before any founding is declared, generations of Imperial servants may have labored in silence, and even once the process begins, a full standard century may pass before new chapters are ready for war. In moments of desperation, the Imperium has attempted to hasten this work, yet such speed often leads to ruin, as gene seed grown too quickly can decay or mutate, and countless other failures may follow. There are few dangers greater to the Imperium of Man than a space marine who falls to corruption or turns renegade, and so the long, careful patience of the foundings remains a necessary burden, carried quietly for the sake of survival. Each chapter of Space Marines finds its future warriors in its own way, shaped by tradition, distance, and belief. Many draw from a single homeworld, returning again and again to the same people, watching generations grow, testing the strongest among them through harsh trials meant to strip away all but endurance and faith. These worlds are often rough and technologically backward, places where survival itself is a daily contest. Young boys who show promise are driven harder than the rest, pushed by elders and custom alike, all with the distant hope that one day they might be chosen by the star warriors who descend from the sky. To such cultures, the Space Marines are known by many names: Sky Knights, Angels of War, or warriors born of the heavens. Feral worlds are especially prized, their people shaped by untamed lands and constant danger. Their aggression and resilience are unmatched, yet even they are sometimes eclipsed by the killers born in the depths of hive worlds, where endless pressure, violence, and neglect forge merciless survivors. These city scum are often ignored by Imperial authority, left to prey upon one another, and so they become ideal candidates. Entire gangs may be hunted down and forced into the trials, while recruits from more civilized worlds are taken only rarely. The chapters watch these worlds closely. Apothecaries study the purity of bloodlines, guarding those traits most useful to the making of an Astartes. Chaplains observe from afar, ensuring that no hint of the ruinous powers takes root. Most of the time, this scrutiny is distant and unseen, and entire societies may live and die without ever knowing the Imperium exists at all. Once in a generation, officers of the chapter may appear, and their arrival becomes legend. These towering figures from beyond the stars inspire awe, and their commands are absolute. The trials they impose vary wildly, yet all are brutal enough that only a handful endure. Many who fail do not survive, as the tests often involve ritual combat, the hunting of monstrous beasts, or feats that push the body past its limits. Those who pass are taken away, rarely to see their people again. For the family left behind, the loss is also an honor, even among those who know little of the wider galaxy. The Space Wolves are such an example. They're wolf priests roaming the warring tribes of Fenris in search of the fiercest youths. The Ultramarines, by contrast, draw from disciplined training barracks across the realm of Ultramar, choosing from worlds bound by order and duty. Some chapters have no home world at all. They roam the void in vast fleets, recruiting wherever war takes them. The Black Templars and the Dark Angels are among these, gathering aspirants from battlefields and distant systems alike. Those accepted become neophytes, beginning a long path of training and transformation. Each chapter has its own rites, its own way of revealing its secrets. As the body is reshaped through biogenetic treatment, the spirit is reshaped as well, hardened by ritual, belief, and battle. Some rites are solemn and reflective, others loud and celebratory, and still others bloody and unforgiving. All are necessary, and many do not survive them. Failure does not always mean death. Some are cast out, crippled, or found wanting in spirit. Many are mind-scrubbed and reduced to chapter serfs, servants bound to the chapter for life. Others fare worse, transformed into mindless servitors, their bodies repurposed for labor and war. A rare few may rise to positions of authority within the chapter household, yet even then they remain insignificant beside true battle brothers. Across the worlds of recruitment, legends grow. On primitive planets, the Space Marines are feared as otherworldly angels of death, arriving without warning to claim the strongest sons. On more advanced worlds, the honor is better understood, and the memory of an ancestor chosen long ago may grant status, reverence, and whispered prayers, as though the warrior were a saint watching from the stars. Before any aspirant may be called a neophyte, he must endure trials that define the rest of his life. Though testing continues long after, the first trial is the one that carves itself deepest into memory. What is faced in those moments is never forgotten, no matter how long the warrior lives. Every chapter uses such trials, yet none are the same. Some are woven into ancient festivals and rites of passage, their true purpose hidden even from those who take part. Aspirants believe they are proving themselves to their tribe or clan, unaware that unseen eyes are judging every step. Others fight openly for the chance to be chosen, knowing that a great reward awaits even if its nature remains a mystery. Some trials are watched closely, every action weighed. Others care only for survival. In certain cases, the trial cannot be completed at all, and the true measure is the willingness to attempt it regardless. Most aspirants fail, and many die. Those who live but fail often return home as heroes, their survival alone marking them as leaders among their people. When an aspirant succeeds, his departure is sudden. He may be met by a waiting Space Marine and taken away without farewell, or he may be celebrated for a final night before leaving everything behind. Some awaken in sterile cells, unsure how they arrived or what awaits them. Only then does further testing begin, to see if the body and mind can accept the gene seed. Among the most common trials are blood duels, fights between aspirants that are often lethal. Weapons vary by culture, from flint spears and beast fangs to ritual blades or advanced arms. Sometimes there are no weapons at all, only fists and teeth. These duels may be fought in rounds, the field slowly littered with the fallen until only a few remain. When recruits are needed, the fighting may end early. When they are not, it may continue until a single battered survivor stands alone. Not all duels end in death, yet all are brutal. Apothecaries may later rebuild shattered bodies if the will shown is deemed worthy. Many chapters use such methods. The Blood Angels are well known for them, as are the Dark Angels, Imperial Fists, Storm Wardens, and Space Wolves. Other trials take the form of the hunt. Aspirants are sent to track and slay predators that plague their people, whether beasts, criminals, or alien raiders. This is a test of patience and cunning as much as strength. Hunts may last days or longer, and capturing the prey alive is often the hardest challenge of all. Sometimes many aspirants hunt the same target, cooperation and betrayal both revealing their nature. In the end, only one claims victory. Often the final act is ritual killing, performed before the people, sealing the trial in blood. The Space Wolves hunt Fenrisian wolves or snow trolls. The Dark Angels draw on older knightly traditions, sending aspirants against warped beasts touched by chaos. In worlds where war never ends, trials are barely needed. The chapters simply watch from afar as tribes, gangs, and factions slaughter one another. From hive-world undercities to polluted wastelands, the strongest rise naturally, and the watchers take note. Sometimes conflict is even encouraged, ensuring the next generation of warriors is forged without pause. Some chapters are known for letting entire cultures destroy themselves while they observe. The Space Wolves are foremost among these, watching the tribes of Fenris tear each other apart in endless war. Others, including the Dark Angels and their successors, follow similar paths. Across the Imperium, few worlds are gentle. Most are poisoned by industry, scarred by radiation, or teeming with hostile life. Humans endure ice wastes, burning deserts, suffocating jungles, and seas filled with predators, surviving only because something of value lies beneath the danger. Exposure trials place aspirants alone in such places, stripped of aid and left with only the bare minimum to survive. For those raised in constant cooperation, isolation itself becomes the trial. Some are forced to cross vast frozen plains or irradiated continents, others to swim deadly oceans or climb impossible ranges. In some cases, the aspirant is taken from all he knows and cast into an alien environment, a feral savage into a hive city, or a hive dweller into a death world jungle. Many of these trials cannot be completed. Survival alone is the measure. Those who endure far beyond expectation are recovered, revived, and judged worthy. The Ultramarines make extensive use of such trials, and in some cases even infants are cast into the wild to test resilience. The Space Wolves and others follow similar customs. Beyond the body, the mind must also be tested. Some chapters believe mental and spiritual strength matters as much as muscle. Aspirants may be subjected to visions imposed by librarians, their minds filled with nightmares and temptation, every reaction judged. Other trials are simpler and crueler. Potent, psychoactive substances force the aspirant to confront his own inner terrors. Many die from the strain, and those who survive are changed forever. Pain itself is another path. Some torments scar the body, others leave no mark at all, like the infamous pain glove of the Imperial Fists, which pushes consciousness beyond normal limits. The Black Templars rely on fasting and prayer instead, achieving similar ends through endurance. A rare trial pits the aspirant against a full Space Marine. Victory is not expected, the measure is how well he fails. Most die crushed by strength beyond human limits. On rare occasions, an aspirant prevails, and such warriors often become legends. Other challenges test strength, stamina, or resilience through impossible tasks. Even in failure, those who impress the chapter may be saved by apothecaries and allowed to advance. At the heart of every Space Marine lies the gene seed, a foreign legacy drawn from the Primarchs themselves. From it grow the organs that transform a mortal body into something far beyond human limits. This genetic treasure was first crafted by the Emperor, using the genomes of his sons, and remains precious beyond measure. For long ages, the knowledge to create new gene seed was lost. Chapters relied on recovery from the dead and dying, apothecaries safeguarding it so new warriors could be made. The gen seed defines a chapter, carrying not only strength but temperament, belief, and martial character. Over time, flaws emerged. Some mutations twisted body or mind, giving rise to curses like the Black Rage, the Red Thirst, or the Mark of the Wolfen. Others, like those that doomed the Soul Drinkers, grew until the chapter itself fell and was remade. Though once there were 20 legions, only 9 loyal lines remain to give rise to the many chapters of later foundings. Each carries echoes of its origin. Not all aspirants survive the process. The body must be male, young, and compatible. The implants must harmonize with growth, immunity, and mind. Any taint of chaos, any rejection, can mean death or madness. These requirements exclude almost all of humanity. Those who pass are taken to the fortress monastery, where implantation, conditioning, and training begin in earnest. Years later, if all goes well, the initiate enters battle, completes his rites, and rises as a true battle brother. The transformation of a neophyte is driven by 19 organs grown from gene seed, each one reshaping the body for war and survival. Some are implanted directly, others grow within the body itself, guided by encoded genetic machines that rewrite flesh according to the Emperor's design. From the earliest days, no single method existed to awaken these changes. Different legions developed their own rituals, blending science with belief. Failure was common, and many died as their bodies rejected the implants. Knowledge has been lost over time. Some organs can no longer be grown easily, making recovery from fallen warriors essential. Among the most vital are the progenoid glands, which preserve the chapter's future, and the black carapace, which binds warrior and armor as one. Implantation must begin early while the body is still growing. Starting too late greatly increases the risk of death. Most chapters choose youths barely into adolescence. The organs themselves reshape every system. Hearts multiply, bones thicken and fuse, muscles swell with unnatural strength, blood carries more oxygen, wounds seal almost instantly, sleep becomes optional, poison loses its sting, and senses sharpen beyond human limits. Memories may be tasted, air drawn from toxic voids, and vision pierces the dark. Each change brings risk. Only a fraction survive to become scouts, and fewer still reach full initiation. Later, implants push survival even further. Some allow hibernation for centuries. Others shield the skin from radiation or cleanse toxins at the cost of unconsciousness. Taste and scent become tools of tracking. Skin may seal itself against vacuum and cold. Saliva turns corrosive when needed. At the core of continuity lie the progenoid glands, growing new gene seed to replace what is lost. Through them, the chapter endures, though the blood passed on is always that of the Primarch, never the warrior himself. Last comes the black carapace, binding nerve and armor together, allowing thought and movement to flow directly into the machine spirit of power armor. Throughout the years of surgery, chemical treatment, and hypnotherapy guide development, many bodies fail. For those who cannot endure, death or servitude awaits. For the rest, the path continues until growth ends and the scout steps into war. Primaris Space Marines are born from the same ancient gene seed, yet refined. Their creation raised concern, for altering the Emperor's work has led to disaster before. Still, Archmagos Belisarius' call labored in secrecy for millennia, guided by strict command. Though samples from all Primarchs were gathered, only loyal lines were used. The result was a warrior more stable, his gene seed far less prone to mutation. Where earlier chapters suffered flaws, these new warriors endure with minimal deviation. Primaris Marines bear all the traditional organs and 3 more besides. Reinforced sinews grant immense strength. A cerebral lobe amplifies growth and other implants, echoing a greater organ once meant for Primarchs alone. A dormant furnace within the chest awakens in moments of mortal peril, flooding the body with revitalizing force before falling silent once more. These changes were unveiled late in the age, and the Primaris were unleashed in vast numbers, carrying renewed strength into a darkened galaxy. Beyond surgery, conditioning shapes the Space Marine. Chemical treatment, psychological pressure, and hypnotherapy accompany endless training. Apothecaries monitor every change, correcting imbalance and suppressing deviation. Even after initiation, treatment never fully ends. Power armor itself watches over the warrior's body, delivering drugs as needed. Hypnotherapy teaches control, awakening implants and training the mind to master the body's altered processes. The mind is reshaped as much as the flesh. Pain is endured beyond human limits. Thought accelerates, memory sharpens, sometimes becoming perfect recall. Personality is smoothed, fear diminished, obedience reinforced. Resistance to chaos is forged through relentless conditioning. In the end, the transformation is complete. A human youth becomes an Astartes, superhuman in body and mind, yet no longer fully human. What is lost is given willingly, so that others may endure. Every Space Marine chapter carries its history openly, shown in distinctive colors and heraldry that were set at the moment of its founding and worn with unfiltered pride across armor and vehicles alike. Their war gear is cared for with exacting devotion, and over countless years, many weapons have been etched with fine lines of high Gothic script, each one recalling a battle honor earned by a warrior who bore it before. A chapter is led by a chapter master, a commander whose authority stands on equal footing with that of a planetary governor within the wider Imperium. Though a chapter numbers only 1,000 battle brothers, it moves and strikes with a strength far beyond its size, its combat power matching many times that number of ordinary Imperial soldiers. Each chapter is self-contained, with its own transports, armorers, support staff, and fleets of warships, ready to answer threats wherever they arise across the galaxy. Their mobility sets them apart, and it is often the Space Marines who arrive first when war breaks out. They are used to sudden raids and deep strikes, appearing without warning to shatter an enemy's resolve. The role they were first created to fulfill more than 10,000 Terran years ago is the planetary assault, where a chapter fleet sweeps aside enemy ships, silences orbital defenses, and clears a path to the surface below. Before the main force descends, enemy positions are undermined by scout or vanguard marines, or seized outright by full battle companies. When the moment comes, many Space Marines are hurled straight into the fight, committing at once to a decisive clash that exploits the shock of their arrival. Speed is vital, and their warships carry vast numbers of drop pods and cavernous bays filled with Thunderhawk gunships, whose distant contrails are often the only warning of what is coming. They strike at the heart of the foe, unleashing storms of bolter fire that can end a rebellion or drive off an invader before a wider campaign has time to unfold. These assaults are often led by Terminators from a chapter's veteran first company, teleporting directly into the enemy's midst, supported by heavier armor delivered from the skies by Thunderhawk transporters. Each company can draw upon different types of squads, shaping its strength to the task at hand. Rarely is a full company deployed on its own, as forces are carefully assembled to match each mission, sometimes made up of only a few squads reinforced by others, along with armored vehicles and dreadnoughts. Such formations may be led by a captain or lieutenant, or by a seasoned veteran sergeant, chaplain, or librarian acting as force commander. Only in the gravest circumstances does a chapter commit a large portion of its strength. In these moments, forces numbering in the hundreds may be unleashed to hold a line that must not fall. During the Second and Third Wars for Armageddon, the High Lords of Terra judged that the Orc warlord Gaskell Threka had to be stopped, lest his Wa spill from that vital hive world into the heart of the Imperium. Legendary chapters such as the Blood Angels, Salamanders, and Black Templars answered the call, and their efforts were so fierce that Armageddon itself became a byword for total war in Orc culture. Because their duties are scattered across the stars, a chapter's companies are often divided, fighting separate wars light years apart. Centuries may pass before all 10 companies stand together, and when that happens, it signals a threat capable of tearing at the Imperium's foundations. Such a deployment can be ordered only by the High Lords of Terra, and is led by the chapter master in person, a concentration of force able to crush a fortress world, turn back an alien invasion, or halt a Black Crusade. Conflicts like the Helican Schism, the Macarian Heresy, and the Tyrannic Wars demanded such unity, consuming vast regions of space and countless millions of lives. Yet even in wars of that scale, the final outcome was shaped by the resolve and sacrifice of a comparatively small number of the Emperor's Angels of Death, whose deeds are remembered on worlds turned into silent shrines of remembrance. Long before the coming of a new age, the Space Marines followed an order that had endured for centuries, a pattern of organization laid down in the Codex Astartes and carried faithfully into battle. At its heart were 3 kinds of squads, each with its own purpose, each designed to support the others so that no warrior ever truly fought alone. There were those who advanced steadily and held the line, those who struck swiftly and closed the distance, and those who stood back to deliver overwhelming fire. Together they formed a flexible whole, able to adapt to almost any war zone or enemy. Beyond these core formations stood the most seasoned warriors gathered in the veteran company, fighting either in the immense bulk of Terminator Armour or as elite veterans shaped by countless campaigns. At the far edge of the chapter, the youngest aspirants served their first years as scouts, learning patience and restraint before earning the right to stand among full battle brothers. A Space Marine's path began quietly, often unseen by the wider war. As a scout, he moved through shadows and broken ground, guided by a veteran sergeant whose long memory of battle shaped every lesson. In these early missions of reconnaissance and ambush, the neophyte learned how to watch, how to wait, and how to strike with purpose. Each engagement was both a test and a teaching, and even in these first clashes, the gulf between an Astartes and a mortal foe was made clear. In time, the scout would take his place in heavier armor, first among those who carried the chapter's largest weapons. In Devastator squads, he learned discipline and reliability, offering support, spotting targets, and standing ready to take up a fallen brother's weapon. Only after proving himself steady under fire would he be trusted with the full destructive power of the chapter's heavy arms, mastering them over many battles fought in harsh and unforgiving places. From there, his path might lead into the assault squads, where war was close and personal. Equipped to descend swiftly into the heart of the enemy, these warriors learned to combine speed with controlled ferocity, beating their foes face to face. Every strike, every leap, reinforced the lesson that aggression, when guided by discipline, could shatter even the strongest defense. Only after showing courage, judgment, and adaptability would a Space Marine earn his place in a tactical squad. Here, balance was everything. Bolters, heavy weapons, and specialized arms came together in a formation capable of responding to almost any threat. It was in these squads that the chapter's way of war found its most common expression, steady and reliable, yet always ready to change. For those who survived hundreds of campaigns and endured the worst horrors the galaxy could offer, the title of veteran awaited. Such warriors were measured not by years alone, but by trials overcome and deeds remembered. Many led other squads as sergeants before joining the first company, carrying both the weight of command and the scars of long service. Among the veterans, some bore the ancient suits of Terminator Armour, massive and revered relics from a distant age. These suits turned a warrior into a living bulwark, fit for boarding actions and crushing close combat where mobility mattered less than resilience. Each bore the Crux Terminatus, a symbol heavy with legend and honor, linking its bearer to the most sacred moments of the chapter's past. Others fought in more familiar armor, though marked with countless honors, forming squads that specialized either in brutal, close combat or in precise, overwhelming fire. These veterans were rarely committed all at once, instead reinforcing key moments of battle, striking where the line needed strength or where a decisive blow could be delivered. Above all of this stood the captains, each one a leader of proven skill and resolve. They commanded their companies with clarity and determination, carrying not only authority in war, but also responsibilities tied to the life and functioning of the chapter itself. From among all these warriors, only one rose to bear the ultimate responsibility. The chapter master stood alone at the summit of command, shaped by centuries of war and tempered by victories won at terrible cost. His skill in combat was unmatched, whether wielding blade, firearm, or his own strength, and his rank spoke silently of enemies defeated and horrors endured. Yet strength alone was never enough. He was expected to think as deeply as he fought, drawing upon the teachings of the Codex Astartes and the hard lessons learned in the chaos of real battle. Every decision carried weight, for the lives under his command were not merely soldiers, but brothers who would follow him without hesitation. He walked a careful line, preserving his warriors while still achieving the goals set before the chapter and guarding its honor. Beyond the battlefield, he was keeper of ancient lore and sworn secrets, bound by oaths and long-standing debts that shaped how the chapter dealt with the wider Imperium. Commands were not obeyed lightly, no matter how grand the title of the one who asked, and reasons had to be given that justified the cost in blood. Often, the chapter master also ruled the world from which his warriors were drawn, a duty as demanding as any campaign. The power he commanded was immense, capable of destroying worlds at a word, and with that power came constant risk. Hubris lurked close at hand, for those sworn to protect humanity could be tempted to believe they should rule it instead. Guarding against that fall was as vital as any victory won in battle. galaxy was torn open and a darker age began, the ancient order of the Space Marines was reshaped. The birth of the Great Rift and the return of a long-lost Primarch brought changes to the Codex Astartes, and with them came the Primaris Marines, warriors forged for a new and more desperate era. The chapter still stood at a strength of 1,000 battle brothers, a small force compared to the vast legions of old. Yet history had shown that such a number, when owned and directed, could decide the fate of entire star systems. Each company remained 100 strong, led by a veteran captain, now often supported by lieutenants who shared the burden of command. Squads retained their familiar structure, though the revised teachings allowed greater flexibility, including smaller formations that could be tailored to the demands of each war. The first company remained the domain of veterans, its warriors recognized by their pale helms and their mastery of many forms of battle. They trained for war in heavy armor and fought alongside the battle companies rather than apart from them, lending their experience wherever it was most needed. The core of the chapter's fighting strength still lay in the battle companies, steady and adaptable, built around a mix of battle line, close support, and fire support squads. These formations were designed to respond quickly, breaking apart and reforming as circumstances demanded. Warriors trained for one role might serve another in the same campaign, piloting armored suits, driving transports, or manning heavy weapons as the situation required. Behind them stood the reserve companies, each dedicated to a single type of warfare. They existed to reinforce the front line, replacing losses and ensuring the chapter could endure long and punishing conflicts. Some trained for rapid assaults on bikes or fast skimmers. Others specialized in close combat or long-range fire, and in certain battles, they were deployed as powerful forces in their own right. Through these companies, a Space Marine continued to progress, moving from heavier fire support toward more flexible roles, learning new ways of war with each transition. The 10th Company still held the chapter's newest warriors, though it now also contained seasoned specialists trained for stealth and infiltration. Its size shifted with the flow of recruitment, growing or shrinking as the chapter's fortunes allowed. Across all companies, armored transports and war machines were carefully managed. Some were assigned permanently, others drawn from a central pool, and many companies counted ancient dreadnoughts among their number, warriors entombed yet still bound to the Brotherhood they once served. These towering figures carried not only weapons of great power, but also the memory of the chapter's long and costly history. When vehicles were assigned to a company, they bore its markings and numbers, their crews bound to them as surely as any warrior to his armor. Each war engine was given a name at its creation, a promise of protection and service, and over time its deeds became part of the chapter's shared memory. Beyond the companies themselves stood a body of specialists and officers who moved where they were most needed. Librarians, chaplains, apothecaries, tech marines, and others formed a command staff that offered guidance, healing, faith, and devastating force. Though many ranks existed in theory, only those with a direct role in war accompanied the chapter into battle, while much of the quieter work was carried out by loyal human servants. Captains often bore additional titles tied to specific duties, each reflecting a facet of the chapter's life beyond the battlefield. Above them all remained the chapter master, accountable for every action taken in the chapter's name and, if he chose, guarded by a personal honor guard drawn from its finest warriors. A new emphasis was placed on vanguard warfare, with Primaris Marines trained extensively in infiltration, sabotage, and shadowed assault. From their earliest days, these warriors learned to disrupt supply lines, shatter morale, and dismantle the enemy piece by piece before the main force ever arrived. Even after moving on to other roles, they retained these skills, ready to don lighter armor and return to the shadows when required. At times, the chapter committed its most heavily armored veterans in overwhelming force. Terminator squads, usually dispersed among other formations, could be gathered together for assaults against the most hostile environments, from infested space hulks to fortified strongholds. Such actions carried grave risk, for every suit of that ancient armor was irreplaceable, yet the reward could be decisive, victory against foes few others could face. Supporting all of this was the chapter's fleet, a collection of warships designed for rapid strikes and planetary assaults. Frigates and strike cruisers formed its backbone, while older chapters often maintained massive battle barges that served as mobile fortresses and symbols of their legacy. Within their launch bays waited drop pods, boarding torpedoes, and squadrons of attack craft, ready to carry the chapter's warriors from the cold void into the heart of war. A space marine is shaped through layers of connection that settle over time, each one quiet but enduring. There is the bond of the chapter, the shared inheritance carried in flesh and memory, passed down from the Primarch through the gene seed they all bear. No matter how distant the founding, that lineage binds them, giving form to belief, to duty, and to how war itself is understood. Within the chapter, command is defined, doctrine is set, and the deeper truths of the galaxy are taught to those who once knew nothing beyond feudal or feral worlds. What a battle brother accepts as simple fact often comes from this early shaping, whether it is reverence for the machine spirits or a more practical understanding of the Imperium's workings. And these differences can surface quietly when warriors of different chapters stand together. As he grows into his role, the Space Marine finds his place within a company where the Codex Astartes guides his path and refines the way he fights for mankind. From his earliest days as a scout, through the long discipline of fire support and close assault, each stage leaves its mark, preparing him for the balance required of the battle companies. Company traditions take root here, born of past victories and losses, remembered through rites that matter deeply to those who observe them. To neglect such a rite, when there is no battle to prevent it, can weigh heavily on the spirit, like a quiet failure to honor those who fell before. Closest of all are the bonds formed within the squad. These are not distant teachings or inherited beliefs, but trust earned through endless days of shared danger. Fighting side by side, the battle brothers learn each other's rhythms, their strengths, and their silences. Over time, reliance becomes instinct, and separation, whether for service elsewhere or a new duty, feels like leaving a part of oneself behind. In joining another squad, the Space Marine carries these memories with him, steady and unspoken, as he learns once more how to belong. The Astra Militarum, often called the Imperial Guard, is formed of men and women whose faith in the God Emperor of mankind burns steadily, even though they remain mortals of flesh and blood. To them, the Space Marines of the Adeptus Astartes are something far beyond the ordinary towering figures who seem like gods moving among humanity. For most guardsmen, and for most people across the Imperium, such warriors are rarely seen, almost unreal in their distance. Many troopers will pass through entire campaigns without ever laying eyes on a Space Marine, let alone standing beside one in battle, and so stories grow in the empty spaces left by absence. Legends, myths, and quiet superstitions take shape, shaped by the many cultures of the Imperium and the regiments drawn from them. Some speak of the Space Marines with reverence, calling them the true sons of the Emperor, while others whisper of them with fear, believing them to be the living instruments of divine judgment. Truth and exaggeration blend together easily. It is known that a Space Marine can spit acid, yet in the telling this becomes something more, a belief that they can kill with a glance or scatter armies with a single word spoken aloud. Tales circulate of small bands of these warriors conquering whole planets or standing firm against endless waves of ravening Xenos. Certain chapters, like the Ultramarines, are praised and celebrated across the Imperium, while others, such as the Blood Drinkers, inspire a colder dread. For any Imperial Guard trooper or any other mortal, finding himself before a Space Marine is often overwhelming. Many would fall to their knees without thinking, overcome by the sheer presence and martial bearing of a battle brother. Even seasoned officers, men used to command, may find their voices faltering as if they were newly commissioned and unsure of their words. From the other side, most Space Marines barely register the existence of ordinary mortals, and only a truly exceptional individual might earn their notice or respect. Still, rumors of their arrival can spread quickly through a war zone, filling the ranks with excitement, even if such rumors so often fade into nothing. When the meeting is real, when a single squad truly appears, the memory becomes legendary, retold in hushed voices for many Terran years, a quiet story of awe shared long after the moment has passed. For much of Imperial history, the Imperium tried to shelter its people from the quiet pull of chaos by hiding its very existence. The truth of the Chaos Gods, their demonic servants, and the fallen Space Marines was kept from public sight, known only to certain Space Marines, sanctioned psychers, and the ever-watchful Inquisition. It was believed that even awareness could be a seed of corruption, something that might grow simply by being named. Because of this fear, the Inquisition followed a harsh path. Those who faced the demonic were often stripped of memory, even when they wore the armor of the Adeptus Astartes. In some cases, entire chapters were subjected to this erasure. Others, less protected or less valued, were simply removed, their lives ended to ensure the safety of the wider Imperium. A few were allowed to live, but only after their memories were altered or wiped away entirely, leaving them changed and diminished. This way of thinking was old, older than the Emperor's silent vigil upon the Golden Throne. In the earliest days, only the Emperor and his Primarchs understood that the warp held thinking entities that could reach into real space. Even then, the full truth was withheld. During the Great Crusade, the Primarchs were told of hostile powers, but not that the Empyrean was ruled by malign intelligences, beings like the dark spirits of ancient human fear. The Emperor feared that such knowledge alone might push his sons toward ruin. To face a demonic host is not like fighting a living foe. It is to stand against madness itself, something that twists the mind and leaves scars that never fully fade. For this reason, the Imperium came to believe that knowledge of such enemies could not be allowed to spread. Survivors of demonic wars were gathered up, questioned and silenced, their memories broken or their lives confined to endless labor. And in the most extreme moments, entire worlds were erased to prevent the truth from spreading. Across the long ages since the Horus Heresy, warp disasters and demonic incursions have been countless, yet almost all record of them has been purged from common memory. What remains is locked away in forbidden imperial texts or lost within alien scripts still haunted by the Inquisition. Even the idea that such horrors could exist was judged too dangerous for ordinary minds. In later times, especially after the opening of the Great Rift at the dawn of the era Indomitus, this secrecy began to fray. Among the Space Marines, the old pretense became harder to maintain. By the closing years of the 41st millennium, it was rare to find an Astartes who had not crossed blades with demons, even as the Inquisition continued, in some cases, to erase entire chapters. Not all submitted quietly, and some, like the Space Wolves, resisted fiercely. Now, with the galaxy split by the birth of the Cicatrix Maledictum, demonic incursions are too frequent and too visible to hide. The Space Marines are needed everywhere, and the effort to keep them ignorant has lost its purpose. The silence that once surrounded chaos has thinned, not by choice, but by necessity. Scout armor is spoken of as something lighter, something that allows movement without burden while still offering real protection. It is often compared to the carapace armor worn by elite Imperial Guard, yet shaped for a different purpose, one that values silence, patience, and careful advance. In most chapters that follow the Codex Astartes, neophytes begin their service in the 10th Company, learning their first lessons as scouts. They move under the watchful guidance of an experienced scout sergeant who leads them and teaches them what it truly means to become a Space Marine. Because their black carapace has not yet fully matured, they cannot yet bond with standard power armor. Instead, they wear suits formed from carbon titanium composite plates, armor that can still turn aside the majority of small arms fire while remaining well suited to skirmishing and stealth. In quieter times, when battle does not call, even some full battle brothers of certain chapters may choose this armor, wearing it beyond the battlefield, valuing its freedom and restraint. first thing noticed, a fusion of ancient technologies that reach back beyond the Age of Strife and into the distant Dark Age of technology. It is formed from custom-crafted ceramite plates, bound with armored fibers and servos that mirror the wearer's movements, amplifying already superhuman strength. Through this armor, a space marine can endure violence that would destroy an ordinary human while remaining sealed within a self-contained environment. The suit shields its bearer from the void of space and from worlds made toxic and hostile, holding life where none should survive. This union is made possible by the black carapace grown beneath the skin after gene seed implantation, allowing the armor to connect directly to the nervous system. In this way, the armor ceases to be worn and instead becomes part of the body itself. Over the long history of the Imperium, many marks of power armor have existed, each shaped by need and by era. Some were built for specific roles, others hurriedly forged during times of desperation, such as the heavily studded suits created during the Horus Heresy. Certain chapters hold particular patterns in high esteem, valuing their form and purpose above all others. For thousands of years, one pattern stood as the most familiar sight. The older components were often reused, conserving precious resources. Riveted plates from ancient Crusade-era armor can still be found upon later suits, protecting their wearers just as well, since changes over millennia have largely affected auxiliary systems rather than protection itself. Each suit is bound to its bearer, shaped so precisely that no other space marine could wear it without alteration. Oaths are sworn to honor its machine spirit and the memories of those who came before. With the coming of the Primaris Space Marines, a new modular design emerged, the Mark X able to adapt its form to many roles through different configurations. Whether worn by intercessors, inceptors, or those who move unseen as reavers and vanguard warriors, this armor remains a core exoskeleton, silent or reinforced as needed. Across all patterns, power armor is maintained with near religious care, preserved and engraved, carrying the history and triumphs of the chapter across the centuries. Terminator Armour, also known as Tactical Dreadnought Armor, transforms a Space Marine into something almost unstoppable. These suits are rare beyond measure, representing the pinnacle of personal protection found within Space Marine armories. Created in the final days of the Great Crusade, the knowledge to make them has long since been lost. Each surviving suit is a priceless relic from a forgotten golden age, reserved only for the most perilous missions. They are entrusted to veterans who have earned the right to bear the Crux Terminatus upon their shoulder. That symbol is said to hold a fragment of the Emperor's own armor from his final battle during the Siege of Terra. Through it, the wearer can survive the violence of teleportation, withstand weapons meant to destroy tanks, and in rare accounts, even endure the crushing weight of a battle titan's stride. Built from layers of ceramite and adamantium, threaded with powerful fiber bundles and servo systems, the armor links directly to the warrior's body, enhancing movement despite its immense bulk. It was designed to stand between a true dreadnought and standard power armor, balancing balancing protection with mobility. Its heavy plating can deflect devastating bombardments, and the crux Terminatus itself serves as a psychic ward against power weapons, melta fire, and the energies of the warp. Because of its size, this armor is most effective in confined spaces where its storm bolter can be brought to bear with relentless efficiency. Artificer Armour is reserved for those who have truly proven themselves, commanders, honored guards, and veterans whose deeds have earned lasting recognition. Each suit is individual, heavily modified, and shaped entirely around its bearer. Rarer even than Terminator Armour, these suits are crafted from super dense materials and advanced technologies that stand unmatched within the Imperium. Every piece is a masterwork, awarded only to heroes of the chapter, aside from the tech marines who labor toward such honors themselves. Always master crafted, this armor carries all the strengths of standard power armor and more. Its advanced helm may house a mind impulse unit akin to those used by the Masters of Titans, allowing an even deeper communion between warrior and machine. Some suits possess remarkable self-repairing qualities, with fibers that reweave themselves after battle, reducing the need for traditional repairs. Such marvels are born only through countless hours at blazing forges, under the hands of dedicated artificers and tech marines. Though it cannot wield the heaviest weapons reserved for Terminators, Artificer Armour is said to offer protection nearly equal to them, standing as a testament to devotion, skill, and the long memory of the Adeptus Astartes. The chapters of the Space Marines each carry with them a fleet of starships and voidcraft, shaped by ancient dictates and long-standing limits imposed after the Great Civil War that scarred the Imperium. These fleets are meant to serve close to planets and within star systems, carrying warriors to war and delivering them directly into the heart of invasion. By custom, only the smaller vessels are shaped as true gunships, crafted with naval battle in mind, while the greater ships exist first to endure, to transport, and to strike worlds from orbit. Some chapters have never fully accepted these boundaries, especially those who live forever on Crusade or who possess no home world and no fortress beyond their ships. Such fleets grow powerful and self-reliant, and this often brings quiet tension with the Imperial Navy, which guards its control over ship-to-ship warfare and watches the strength of the Astartes with unease. Rather than following narrow ship classes, most chapters describe their vessels by purpose alone. Though rare exceptions endure, such as vast relics from older ages or unique warships claimed and reshaped for their own use. At the heart of these fleets stands the battle barge, the greatest warship the Space Marines command, immense in scale and terrifying in resilience. Only the strongest chapters hold more than a small handful of these ships, each built to survive the most brutal fire as they drive directly into the storm of planetary assault. Their armor and shielding allow them to close with the enemy, while their weapons, heavy and devastating at short range, support the descent of warriors, thunderhawks, and drop pods toward the surface below. Few vessels can face such a ship at close quarters, and fewer still can endure the fury of its crew once boarding begins. Alongside these giants move the strike cruisers, swift and adaptable warships designed to answer threats with speed. They carry entire companies of space marines and deliver them with uncanny swiftness, striking where resistance is weakest and order must be enforced. Smaller still are the rapid strike vessels, escorts, and patrol ships that guard the larger hulls, prowl the edges of battle, and slip quietly through the void to deliver small forces deep behind enemy lines. Fleet-based chapters also rely on a web of supporting ships, from survey vessels to forge ships, and even vast mobile fortress monasteries formed from converted cargo haulers. These chapter parks shelter gene seed and relics far from the front, preserving what cannot be replaced. Among them travel vanguard cruisers, altered strike cruisers that roam far from support, watching, exploring, and fighting where needed. Their weapons tuned less for planetary assault and more for the silent dangers of deep space and close sporting actions. The sacred artifacts of the Adeptus Astartes are rare beyond measure, each one bound to long ages of war and remembrance, passing from one space marine chapter to another across the vast reaches of the galaxy. Within the armories of these warriors rest relics shaped by master hands, weapons, armor, and symbols that carry the blessing of the Emperor's spirit and the weight of countless victories. Many were once born by champions whose names have never faded, their deeds lingering like echoes that still seem to stir the air around these objects. Each chapter holds only one such relic at a time, for every artifact is unique, without equal anywhere in the galaxy. The burning blade, immense and impossibly dense, is said to have been recovered from the wreckage of Horus's battle barge, untouched by the corruption that surrounded it. Some believe the Emperor himself once wielded it, and in battle its blaze grows so fierce that even the ceramite of its bearer can begin to melt, yet still it is carried into combat, for danger has never restrained the fury of the Space Marines. There is also the armor Indomitus, an ancient suit of Artificer Armour forged long before the Horus Heresy, its layered adamantium plates so heavy and resilient that modern weapons struggle to breach them. Masters of the forge speak of its machine spirit with reverence, blessing it each morning and evening, and whisper that its design shaped every suit of power armor since the Unification Wars. When the fire grows heaviest, a shimmering force field rises around it, sustained by secrets long lost. Other relics tell quieter stories of loyalty and sacrifice. The shield eternal, believed to have been gifted by Rokal Dorn during the darkest days of the heresy, stands as a steadfast bulwark, turning aside both blade and witchcraft. The Primarchs' wrath, traced to the personal arsenal of Reboot Gilliman, carries not only thunderous bolts but the weight of his tactical wisdom etched into its surface in microscopic script. Some artifacts drift in and out of history like phantoms. The Teeth of Terra appears only in times of dire need, its origins unknown, its hunger growing louder as the odds against its wielder rise. The standard of the Emperor Ascendant, woven in the earliest days of Terra's unification and once carried before the Emperor's own guard, inspires unwavering courage, its presence alone enough to steady faltering hearts. There are relics shaped by devotion and relentless duty. Purgatoris, a bolt pistol forged in the 35th millennium, has purged traitors and heretics for generations, its wrathful machine spirit mirroring the resolve of those who bear it. The reliquary of Cathalamor holds the bones of Ordula Grendaf, a warrior of the Sisters of Silence, whose nullifying presence once repelled the warp, leaving behind a fragment of that same power. Others speak of innovation pushed to forbidden edges. The bellicose bolt rifle, born on a hidden forge world consumed by the Great Rift, is revered for its devastating design, while Lament, a master-crafted stalker rifle, carries dark rumors that doom both wielder and target alike. Even so, it is taken up without hesitation. Some relics are worn rather than wielded. The Ghostweave cloak blurs sight and sensor alike, its Nemo thread strands carrying data spirits that veil its bearer like a passing shadow. The Tome of Malkador, penned by the Emperor's closest aide, sharpens the minds of librarians who study its words, deepening their grasp of reality itself. Faith and fury are bound into others. Benediction of fury Agrosius carried through countless crusades has absorbed the righteous wrath of every chaplain who held it, while the honor vehement, a single stanza said to trace back to the Emperor, drives not only its bearer, but all nearby battle brothers into unrelenting zeal. Finally, there is the Vox Spiritum, an experimental creation of Belisarius' call beneath Mars, amplifying voice and thought alike. Through it, commands can reach directly into the minds of allies and enemies, a reminder that even in an age of ancient relics, the line between faith, technology, and danger remains thin and ever-shifting. What you have heard is not a tale of sudden triumph, but of long shaping, of choices made under pressure, and of consequences that never truly faded. From the first wars on Terra, through imperfect creations and careful refinements, a pattern slowly emerged. Each step forward carried its own cost, even when guided by unmatched vision and resolve. The warriors who followed were never just soldiers. They were traditions made flesh, carrying memory in armor and ritual, shaped as much by loss as by victory. Expansion demanded speed, speed demanded compromise, and compromise left marks that time could not erase. Loyalty and rebellion grew from the same roots, nurtured by pride, fear, and belief. In the end, order replaced excess, not to perfect what had been made, but to contain it. The chapters that endure now stand as echoes of that distant age, each bearing fragments of its origins. The Imperium continues, not because it is whole, but because it remembers how close it once came to breaking.